Now at 5, the gender pay gap. Utah women are making way less than their male counterparts. How much less? The answer just ahead.
Last time I physically saw it and the last time I physically spoke to my brother was on the 6th.
I've tried to get in touch with him. Phone went to voicemail.
Plus the search for Brian Laundrie. His sister says she wants to set the record straight. Why she's now calling on their parents to cooperate.
We're out there. We hear your concerns. And again, if you see something, say something.
And to protect and serve. The Salt Lake City Police Department is struggling to do just that. With staffing shortages and budget cuts. The question tonight, are there enough officers to answer the call?
Live, we're there for you. ABC4 News at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Glenn Mills.
And I'm Emily Flores. We thank you for joining us here at the ABC4 News at 5 o'clock. We're going to get to those top stories in just a moment. But first, we are on Weather Watch tonight. This is a live look outside in Utah County. Wet weather moving north. You can see those dark clouds in that video there, in that live look there. Dark skies over the mountains. This in central Utah. Let's head right over to Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy, who's tracking it all in the Weather Center.
Alana, what can we expect through the night?
Well, we've got light showers in Utah County, but southern Utah getting hit hard with their second wave of moisture. Soggy start to the day there. This is video from Sand Hollow. Look at that heavy rain coming down. We knew there would be potential with these storms, and right now we've got 2 active flash flood warnings. Clouds and lighter moisture surging north towards Utah County and the backside of the Wasatch, but we now know that those stronger storms in southern Utah have arrived. They prompted warnings in Arizona throughout the day and now moved into our area. We do have a flash flood warning until 8 o'clock near Zion National Park, as well as one over in King County. You can see why with that nasty cell with plenty of lightning. That heavier moisture now moving into Iron County near Cedar City over I-15 as we make it through tonight. The marginal risk for storms really holds on in southern Utah all the way up to Castle Country and the Four Corners area, which means excessive rainfall could pop up, which we're seeing. There's that lighter moisture, but that swath really encompassing now South Salt Lake and on the backside of the Wasatch. So we know that wet weather out there as we speak. That live look at Salt Lake City shows the cloud cover and that moisture. Temperatures now dropping. We were in the 80s, now sitting at 70 in Salt Lake, 65 in St. George with clouds and rain overhead. Where the moisture is headed coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Glenn, over to you.
Thank you, Alana. Now to our other top story tonight. Crime rates on the rise here in Utah. The Department of Public Safety releasing its 2020 crime report. New data showing from 2019 to 2020, homicides went up roughly 44%. Motor vehicle thefts rose about 34%. State property crimes increasing about 6%, and robberies, they were up more than 5%. The Utah Sheriff's Association reacting to the numbers tonight, saying staffing shortages statewide are making matters worse. The group releasing a statement saying today, these trends are not sustainable. Without an emerging workforce and with the decline of an existing workforce, crime will continue to increase and public safety will disappear.
All right, well, Salt Lake is one of the agencies taking a hit. The city's police department saying that it's understaffed and trying to deal with its own increase in violent crime. New data showing that crimes like aggravated assault and thefts are rising, and they're rising fast. ABC4's Jordan Burrows speaking with Salt Lake City Police today to hear how they're combating these issues. And Jordan, what are they saying?
Yeah, Emily, the Salt Lake City Police Department says they're definitely feeling the hurt like many other police agencies throughout the state here in Utah. We did speak with Sergeant Mark Wine with Salt Lake City Police Department. He did recognize that violent crime is up in Salt Lake City. It's actually up about 10% from last year to this year. Regardless of those numbers, though, Wine says that the department is still committed to holding criminals accountable. Whether Utahns saw it happen or heard it happen.
As you know, I mean, 2020, was a whirlwind for the nation, and Utah included.
Violent crimes and property crimes rose in 2020 and continue to do so in 2021, especially in Salt Lake City. But there's a big hurdle the department has to tackle.
As a state, we are down more than 600 police officers across all the departments.
57 of those are sworn officer positions within SLCPD. Sergeant Wyan says officers left for various reasons.
Caused some officers to reevaluate their priorities with their family and maybe their career choice, and some left the profession altogether.
Altogether, the latest data from Salt Lake City Police shows a 10% increase in violent crime and a 2% increase in property crime. This from 2020 to 2021. Breaking it down by neighborhood, the Rose Park area saw a 30% increase in property crime, and most of downtown Salt Lake saw a 30% increase in violent crime. The biggest increase was with aggravated assault. Sergeant Wyan says the next group of police officers are getting trained now.
There's still people that are compelled to be in a profession of service, to find that fulfillment of helping people on their worst day, to be that calm in that particular chaos, to be that voice of reason in a moment of crisis.
Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall, who's been in her position about 2 years, says she knows officers are struggling, but knows there are more people who want to help.
We need more officers. We need to be able to respond to calls for help that come from our community. And I know that our officers want to be able to do that.
So taking a look at the bigger picture for crime in general, it was up just about 2.5% throughout the Salt Lake City area when looking at a 5-year average. The Salt Lake City Police Department says that regardless of those numbers, it is still doing the best it can. Its goal is to prioritize those that are living in, working in, and of course visiting Salt Lake City to keep them protected. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Jordan Burrows, ABC4 News.
All right, Jordan, thank you. Well, now to an update on a shooting in West Jordan. One teenager dead, another in custody. And tonight, police are releasing their names. It happened yesterday morning near 82nd South and 35th West. Police identifying the teen shot and killed a 17-year-old Jeremy Hansen and the suspect identified as 19-year-old Cody Ivory. Police say Hansen died from his gunshot wounds on the way to the hospital. Ivory is now booked in jail on several charges, including homicide.
New developments in the search for Gabby Petito's fiance, Brian Laundrie, tonight in an ABC News exclusive. Laundrie's sister, Cassie, attempting to set the record straight, saying if she knew where Brian was, she would turn him in. Cassie also sharing this photo showing Brian and his 5-year-old nephew camping at Fort DeSoto Park with their parents. This was 5 days before Gabby was reported missing.
We just went for a couple of hours and we ate dinner and had s'mores around the campfire and left. And there was nothing peculiar about it. There was no feeling of grand goodbye. There was nothing.
The day Cassie learned Brian disappeared, she says she immediately told investigators about that camping trip. She says she's cooperating with law enforcement and calling on her parents to do the same. However, the Laundrie family attorney releasing a statement today saying Brian's parents do not know where he is and that the speculation from the public saying they helped him leave is, quote, just wrong.
Well, happening now, Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall is pausing the creation of new permanent homeless shelters. Now, Mendenhall signing a petition banning new permanent shelters for the next 6 months. The mayor says it's so the city can carefully address and choose the best path forward. The mayor's emergency action comes following a proposal to turn the detox center in Salt Lake City's Ballpark neighborhood into an overflow homeless shelter.
More Americans could soon have access to a COVID-19 booster shot. Today, Johnson & Johnson announcing it's taking new data to the FDA, showing a second dose 56 days after the first provides up to 94% protection against more serious cases of the virus. The FDA now set to discuss the J&J booster on the 15th. The CDC could then authorize them for emergency use shortly after that.
And a new report shows the impact COVID-19 vaccine is having on seniors. And according to the U.S. Department of Human and Health Services, vaccinations may have helped prevent roughly 1,500 COVID infections and 200 deaths among Utah seniors during the first 5 months of this year. While on a national scale, the study shows vaccinations prevented more than 250,000 COVID cases and 39,000 deaths. The HHS now stressing the need for all eligible Americans to get the shot.
Another new study showing Utah's surge in COVID hospitalizations is making it harder to find an open ICU bed. According to the Utah Department of Health, in September, the wait time to find an ICU bed jumped from 80 minutes to 225. That's almost an hour-and-a-half increase. Because of that rise, the state says patients may not be getting the care they need. The health department says since June, Utah saw a 316% increase in COVID hospitalizations.
And new at 5, the gender wage gap in Utah typically ranks among the highest in the nation. And a new report released today from researchers at Utah State University shows not much is changing. ABC4's Northern Utah correspondent Kate Garner has that story.
Unfortunately, with our pay gap, not much has changed.
Suzanne Madsen is one of 4 authors to write a report called Utah Gender Wage Gap, a 2021 update. This report coming about 4 years after the last one.
We want to make sure when we get this out that it really is the latest data, that from different perspectives, employers and the state and people who know how to do census data.
Madsen says women in Utah make about 30% less than men. Nationally, women make around 18% less, adding, Utah almost always ranks last for gender wage pay. Madsen says there are a few major factors that play into this, including the social structure.
We actually have more of a traditional society. We have more distinct roles between men and women, and some of those things really do play into wider gaps.
Madsen says research shows some of these roles mean Utah women who do go into the workforce are less likely to get graduate degrees, pursue higher wage careers, and are less likely to negotiate a salary.
When we do, then there's pushback from men and women. Like, why are they asking for more? That's kind of selfish. So it's interesting. It's not an easy topic.
She says to change this, public perception, business practices, and state policy will have to change.
And we need to change not just for women, but for children and for families and for our society.
She says the pay gap only gets worse for women of color and single mothers, and both these demographics are growing in the state.
And if you're a single mother in the state of Utah, 40% of you will be living in poverty. 40%.
That, she says, sets up the next generation for failure. In Logan, Cade Garner, ABC4 News.
Thank you, Cade. Well, still ahead, a rare show of bipartisanship on Capitol Hill. A former Facebook employee testifies. Lawmakers on both sides now rallying for change, while the whistleblower says Facebook is putting profits over public safety.
Just pay your fair share. Join the crowd, man.
Plus, the debt limit debate in Washington, D.C. President Joe Biden pushing for a deal on his spending plans. The question tonight, is Congress getting any closer to a compromise?